Welcome, episode 1. Don't mind me, I'm just looking at my notes. I've taken a bit of notes just so I don't start wandering off. But for those who don't know me, my name is Tian Tawakipulu, retired professional rugby player. In that transition now, trying to transition into the game. But let me rewind back. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, why I wanted to do this, why I wanted to start digging deeper into a lot of my messaging. Also, forgive me, I'm in the car. I've tried to record this a couple times already, but the rooms I've been recording in have this weird echo, and I can't really talk that loud because the mic's been picking it up a bit too easily. So hopefully the audio doesn't pick up the cars. Don't mind the cars in the back, they are just there for show. But like I said, retired professional rugby player. Why I wanted to start doing this, aside from my content I put out on socials, which are a lot shorter, short form pieces of content, I wanted to dive deeper into a lot of my messaging because I know a lot of people find it relatable, which I have found out the general consensus. Forgive me, my talking skills are improving. They have improved in the last few months, but I'll read you why I wanted to do this. The whole reason I wanted to do this was I remember when I was around this time last year, when I was weighing up these options, thinking about retiring, I went looking for a story I could relate to on social media, on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, just trying to find a story I can relate to. Most of the stories around professional rugby players going through retirement, a lot of them were already established. A lot of their brands and life outside of the game were already established. What I mean by this is they done the right thing when they were playing. They made the most of the resources which they had. And a lot of the time, these players who were sharing their stories were top echelon of their game, of their sport, and of their position, which I could not relate to at all. So I struggled. So that's why I wanted to create this. I wanted to be vulnerable, dive deeper into those hard-hitting conversations. So that's pretty much why. I want to break down into 4 different pillars of this episode, which will be the dream, so my story growing up, the decision, reality, touch more on why this exists. So let's go. So I am 25 at the moment. I just turned 25 in May 3rd. But growing up, I was born in New Zealand, South Auckland to be exact, in Mangere. I grew up there until I was 5 and then moved to Brisbane, where I'm currently at the moment. This is where I learned how to play rugby. So I do consider myself an Aussie. I had an awesome opportunity. I played club rugby for Kenmore Bears, which was awesome. Then had an awesome opportunity to go to Ipswich Grammar on a rugby scholarship to play there. Spent a few years there and then had the awesome opportunity to head over to St. Kitts. That decision there was life-changing. I went there and pretty much it was a slow first year. After that, things just started to tick over. My 2 last years I played Blues 18s and then New Zealand schools. And then halfway through my last year of school in year 13, I signed a deal with the New South Wales Waratahs, which was a 4-year deal, which was pretty long term at the time. I just turned 18. It was around this time, my last year of school. I signed that and I didn't look back. I had enough credits to finish school. I didn't have to sit any exams, didn't go to my graduation, pretty much left Auckland, came to Brisbane, sorted out my bank account, sorted out my TFN and my healthcare, and then just left straight to Sydney, straight into preseason. Fresh 18, first day, didn't know anybody. I just watched a lot of these guys, which I was very starstruck on my first day. I remember meeting Carmichael Hunt, which is very crazy when I think about it. And then I was fortunate enough to do a whole preseason with the top squad boys. And then I went back, dropped to academy for a bit, went away for 20th camp. After that, boom, lockdown. Heading into lockdown, I came up to Brizzy, caught one of the last flights, and was just able to train up here the whole time, which was awesome, what I needed. First game back from COVID, I was lucky enough to make my professional debut for the New South Wales Waratahs against the Queensland Reds, July 3rd, 2020, up here in Brisbane, Suncorp Stadium. We go down by a penalty goal, which was spewing, but I got to make a dream a reality, which was awesome. I only played one more game after that, the week after, before the other boys came back from injury. Then I tried to go back to club rugby just to get some footy. I was 19 at the time. I just wanted to play. After that, 2 games into my club rugby season, second minute in against Southern Districts, ACL gone. Then I didn't really talk much about my rehab. Yeah, it was tricky, but I always knew it was part of the sport that we played. It was a contact sport. So that injury ended up being 16 months. I come back, only play one more game for the Waratahs. So in my 4 years I was there, I only played 3 games, which is crazy. I was contracted that whole time. I was very close to making a very similar decision at the end of my Waratahs tenure. I didn't know what was coming next. I had nothing officially lined up. I had only told my brother about maybe just coming up to Brizzy, playing some club rugby, and then trying to work my way back into the system. However, the Western Force reached out, and I pretty much packed 4 years of my life in Sydney and packed it all in one bag and just left. I had to be there that Sunday. A bit of drama went down. It was a bit of a sour taste when I left the Waratahs. Anyway, head over to the Force. Awesome. I love the city. New people, new team, new environment, and new people just to be around. And when I went there, I was only meant to go on a 6-month deal. Ended up signing 3 years, which was crazy. I went over there in probably the best shape I've ever been. Went over just before the South Africa tour, played 2 games over there, come back. We had a week off, pretty much signed a 3-year deal there, and then finished the last 2 games of that off season. And like I said, I felt like I was probably a bit more favoured there. Heading into the 2024 season, played every game for the Western Force, all the off season, pre-season, in season, leading up to end of Super. We finished there. I come back, play club rugby. However, that whole year, it was still that thought was still lingering around. Maybe about taking a step away from the game, but I didn't think about it much. I had everything going. I was playing every game, which I wanted to do, so I couldn't complain. Came back playing club rugby, loved it. Got to play alongside my brother, which was awesome, and just a lot of the boys who I grew up wanting to play on the same field with. After that, I had an opportunity to go to NPC, which was pulled back on, so I didn't end up going there. So I just played the Western Force off-season games. Then I was fortunate enough to receive a last-minute call to play Aussie A. We went over to the UK. I was actually up here on my break. I was lucky I was training, and I wasn't that too underdone. Played 1 game. I only played the first game against Bristol. I didn't play against the England A team. However, after that, we came back. We were meant to have 2 weeks off, the boys who came back. But I decided to go straight into it, which probably hurt me because back end of preseason, my groin started playing up and somehow made it just in time for the preseason game. And then I went into that round 1 game very underdone. Round 1 against Moana, I come on, getting blasted in the scrum. And then 1 scrum, the other side collapsed and I twisted rib injury. I ended up being in the hospital after that. I ended up being in the ambulance straight after the final whistle. I didn't even finish the game, and I came off the bench as well. But I remember that period, I was probably 4 or 5 weeks off. That's when I started hitting. I was just starting to think about life outside of the game, which I hadn't built much of. I did not build any side of my life outside of footy, which was pretty scary to me. I was just about to turn 25, didn't know what was happening. I still had another 2 years left on my deal. Sorry, another year left on my deal after this season. So I remember I was just lingering around, and I was always questioning it a lot more now, which was pretty scary. But I made it back, ended up playing the last 3 games of the season against the Brumbies, Jura, and Tars, and then ended up playing against the British and Irish Lions game, which I'm very proud of. I got to be a part of that. Even though we got smashed, it was awesome to be a part of that. My family were in town in Perth as well, which was cool to share that moment with them. And I remember after that, we had a 4-week break. I came back for a couple of weeks, and I just, when you spend a lot of time by yourself, you always think, and you have a lot of time and a lot of thoughts, and it's often dangerous, but those thoughts were lingering around my head. Do I want to do this? Do I want to keep doing this? I come back from that 4-week break. We head into an off-season games, which is Super A, and we lose in the final. And I remember that particular break, I flew home, Bucks party into a wedding, and I remember just writing these questions down. I like to write things down, obviously. And I remember just asking myself, do I really want to keep playing? Why do I want to keep playing? And a lot of the time I said no. I didn't want to keep playing. I didn't see myself playing for that much longer. And a time where I really noticed this was when I was asking the boys. So it's through the language I was putting out there. I was always asking, how long do you see yourself playing for? When do you reckon you'll retire? And I didn't realize this until one of the boys actually spoke up and said, bro, why do you keep asking that? And I just told him, I was like, I don't know if I'll keep playing for much longer. Anyway, fast forward that break, I remember flying back into preseason. We had a week just before preseason. I was still training, and it was just still really lingering, but it felt different this time. I felt like I really made my decision. Head back into preseason, day 1. That's really dark, eh? Oh, okay. Day 1, we're having meeting the GM, meeting with the coach, meeting with the defense coach, S&C coach. I remember meeting with the GM, and he spoke to me, and we both talked about how it was my last year, and I've been here for a few years, and he said he wanted me to be more of a leader within the Polynesian boys, try to bridge that gap between senior staff, the staff, and the younger Islander boys. And I was up for it. And because we were mentioning it was my last year on my deal, this is 2025 preseason into 2026 preseason. He mentioned that they wanted to keep me around even longer and see me staying long term. And when he said that, it just brushed past me. I didn't really clock it. And for someone to hear that and not clock it, obviously there's a problem there. There's an issue. Because anyone in that position would have jumped right at it. And I didn't really realize this at the time until later. I remember a couple more meetings later on, that day, the next day, and the following day after that. I remember the coach is going up there, the S&C coach is going up there, he's showing all the numbers. I ran an average Bronco 525, was pretty average for myself, so we done that. And we were just talking about all the things that that we needed to do if we wanted to go better this year. And I remember same thing, it just brushed past me. In one year, out the other. And that's when I slowly started to understand. I was like, I think I'm done, because I'm feeling really ungrateful at the time. Fast forward to Thursday, and this is the day it happened. I remember I walked into training, walked into headquarters, walked into the gym, and I texted my brother, the only person I'd ever known about this decision. And I told him, I think I'm done. And he called me and we had a conversation. And one thing that stuck out to me, which pretty much made my decision for me, was it sounds like you already made your decision up in your heart. Once he said this, I said, yep, we're done. I'm done. This is it. Went about the whole day, didn't tell a soul, didn't tell anyone. We had gym, then we had units, into lunch, into field. Finished field, all the boys were walking back, and I slowly just done one lap around the field. I said, yep, that's me. Walk back into the gym, walk back into the change room. Everyone's done except one person. One person's just about to leave. It's my best mate. And I hadn't told him yet. I remember I showered up, left, jumped in my car, drove around the corner and just broke down. Just started crying, called my rents up, cried to them. This was the first time, so they were just probing, as you would. And then they understood it was coming from the right place. Then they started having a lot more sympathy and empathy for myself. After that, called my manager. He was all good about it. He was very understanding about it. And then after that, I pretty much, I like to be vulnerable. I went out on the piss for one of the boys in Scarborough. But after that, slowly the boys were finding out. I met up with the GM the following week. That's when he brought up that meeting, and he realized he was all good about it. Head coach was all good about it. And that's what probably made it a lot easier, that everyone was a lot more understanding. But you can just, that fear of letting people down, like making that call to my parents was so hard. You can just imagine all the sacrifices they made for me. Send me to boarding school, send me to all these schools. My parents went to MC, Mangere College. They went to the lowest of the lowest school. They sent me to these good schools so I could chase my dreams. I remember that first week, I just had to sit in a lot of my decision. I just had to sit in those emotions. I tried to start planning everything. ChatGPT, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make money? And one thing I'm very grateful for is I was always good with my money. So it's given me that grace throughout this period now that I can find out what I want to do. I wanted to pursue a little bit of studies to accommodate to an avenue I want to get into. And that has brought me to also why I kind of retired. For me, that period was always coming. This period I'm in now, it was always coming, whether I retired 3 years ago or retired in 10 years' time. This period now, it's always coming. So I wanted to front load that, go through that hard period now. So by the time I was meant to retire, I'll be thriving. I truly believe that. So I forced myself in this position. I could have easily just told my manager, what's next, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to force myself into the unknown so I can grow. And I have. It's been crazy, the amount of growth. But I also wanted to show that there is more to life outside of the game, and you don't have to be the best of the best to create a life. I also wanted to do it. So that's why I've decided to, put myself in this position, because I'm very passionate about. I am a athlete transition advocate. What I wanted to do with this, and why I started documenting, was to share those struggles. And I wanted to share those conversations because through our stories, we can all help each other. We're all different. We all have our own stories. And no two stories are the same, but we can all relate and grab pieces from others. That's why I retired. It has been, almost 10 months, which is crazy. I had done a bit of recruitment. I didn't like it at all. I want to get into a athlete well-being space, and because I'm truly passionate about that. And it's taken me a bit of time to actually consider that. I've tried everything under the sun. But that's episode 1. I will start when I have a lot more conversations with people that have a lot of value, I will start miking them up and just start putting stuff out there. But that's episode 1 on why I retired and how I retired. Hopefully you guys can find some value in this. But that's episode 1. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bruh. That is episode 1. Sorry about that. That's my vulnerability. I'm not going to cut any of this because I want to get better at this. But like I said, that's episode 1. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Much love.